Hey, welcome to the next episode of From the Kitchen Table from the worldwide headquarters of the Pan Celtic race. Very special guest here, guest of ultimate honour, Rebecca Ryan, part of the organising team. She's about to head out to catch up with Deb's and mate, but she just wanted to say a hi before she did, and
hi everybody.
And we're going to do a future chat together. So thanks. Have a nice drive up there.
See you all soon. I'm taking up his time, so I'm going.
Okay, but before she goes, hey, check out the new theme tune. Oh, and I'm going to be super strict on this one. 4, 6, 5, 6, 4 there.
So
Time starts. Hit play.
Well, pull up a chair now.
Oh, pull up the chair now.
Good advice we'll share now. From the kitchen table with the chief.
Oh.
With the chief.
There's Gypsy wanting to be a part of it. Get down, Gyps. So yes, welcome to the latest episode of From the Kitchen Table. We're already 40 seconds into it, and I'm going to keep this one as tight to the schedule as I can. I've already recorded this and it was 22 minutes long, so it's just too long. I mean, if anyone wants to see a full 22-minute version of it, by all means let me know. I can make it available to you. You know, I think it's going to be a great a great app for getting you to sleep, or if you want to torture somebody, you could just have me on loop, just playing continually in the background. Probably don't even know on loop because it just goes on for so long. This episode is focusing on energy, power, electricity. How do we keep our lights, our computer, our phones charged up during an ultra, something like the Pan Celtic? So there's obviously a few different ways. You can stop in the hotel and plug it into the main supply. You can do the same at a cafe stop. You can use power banks, which I'll touch on, or you could use something like a dynamo. And if you've never seen or know much about a dynamo, I don't know a great deal about it, but essentially you have this dynamo hub at the centre of your wheel, and then as the wheel spins, the magnets inside there create a current, which then go up through cables to this type of unit here. This is a K-light. I got this in 2017. Still works great. I really like this because it has a really small head unit. It has a sine wave sort of converter on there. I'm not sure the correct terminology. Got power on and off. Something like a dynamo that can charge up your devices, your lights, and it can also produce your lights, so it's got dual purpose. This particular dynamo, it's a Son Dynamo Deluxe. There's a couple of versions. You can get the 28 and this one, quite popular. The version I went for has a really low rolling resistance compared to the 28, but it's still, you can still feel it. There is resistance there. It doesn't produce any sort of meaningful current or electricity until you get to about 14 to 18 mile an hour. That's the kind of sweet spot. And then around that, I think you're producing about 4 kilowatts. Probably not kilowatts, is it? Or is it kilowatts? Maybe. But it's 4 something. So that's your dynamo front wheel sort of option. Pretty good. And then the type of stuff you're going to have on your bike that you need to charge. You've got your front light. You'll have your rear lights. You'll have your bike computer. Now I've got a Garmin Solar, so that's a pretty cool device. It doesn't produce enough electricity through its solar panel to recharge the to add any meaningful power to it. But what it can do is it can kind of slow down the drain on the unit. So I think, if I remember rightly, you can get like a few hours of power back, you know, on a sunny ride with this a day. So that's pretty cool. And then you have, so for example, with my exposure light here, I've got one of the older versions of it. Exposure provide sell a battery, so that's pretty cool. So it's a dedicated battery for the exposure light. Can't be used on anything else, and I think that's quite good actually, because it avoids the temptation to use this to charge up, say your AirPods, like I'm using here. So that's good, but exposure are moving away from this type of fitting to a USB-C, which you're going to find around all of their devices. So solar, dynamo, and then power banks. People carry power banks with them, certainly on a relatively short sort of race, like 1,000 miles, say 800, 1,000 miles. I've always opted for power banks rather than a dynamo. Something longer, like a 2,000, like a TCR, something like that, I recommend a dynamo. But anyone riding a Pan-Celtic, power banks I reckon you can get away with. You will have to perhaps stay in a hotel 1 or 2 nights if you want to top up these bad boys, because to charge something like this off a dynamo will take about 42 hours. So you're never going to generate enough power from the dynamo to power this up. But what the dynamo is good at charging are smaller items like these earpods. It would take about 2 to 3 hours to charge the earpods. Same amount of time to charge my Garmin from flat. What else do we have here? And yeah, certainly the Trace R Lite, I think it takes a few, I see that's 6 minutes. I'm gonna finish soon. But that's like a few hours. That's the Boost R is double the battery size of that, so that's going to take 4 to 5 hours to charge off a dynamo, but it's possible. But the main like this, it's just not worth trying to charge that. You can sort of slow down the drain if you like by just topping it up with what it can, but you're never going to charge that up. So what do you have in power bank options? So I normally take 2 with me. I'll take this big bugger, which is a 30,000 milliamp power bank, and then this 10,000 milliamp power bank. That's the word. So that's you can do, and what people do is they might use the dynamo when you're riding during the day to fill something like this up. Now it's going to take quite a long time to fill this up, maybe 10 to 12 hours, but you can, 10 to 12 hours of riding during the day with your dynamo on, you will get close to charging it up, and then you can use this to charge up your stuff like your phones. It's not the most efficient way to do it because there's sort of energy is lost through heat transfer and just to transfer the power, but it's one way of doing it. It is actually best to charge your lights direct from the dynamo. Where are we? So 2 main power banks that I would use. I will get about 3 full charges on my iPhone Pro Max off this, so that's pretty mega. I used it to charge up my Di2 battery on my bike the other day, and it took 6% of the charge out of this, leaving me 94%. So that's worth that's good knowledge for me to have. Other options you've got. Now I bought this 9 years ago, and I still use it I still carry it with me if I'm doing an ultra. This is a power bank, simple power bank, little USB output, and it runs on AA batteries. So AA batteries you can pick up anywhere, petrol stations, shops. You can buy them dirt cheap, which I would recommend. You just go straight to landfill. But if you get like lithium ones, they tend to carry a bit more punch, and that's good if you're stuck and you've ran out of juice on your power banks and everything else is dead. Another option, and I think this is possibly the world's smallest power bank, if you can see that. So essentially it's just 2 AAA batteries. I got some lithium ones there, and it's just 2 connected. When it's stored, it's like that. It has the old type of USB-C sort of jack output on it, but that's not a problem because we can get a converter, put that on there, and now you've got a standard USB output. So I think that's pretty clever and that's cool. Again, you're not going to get a huge amount of power out of that, but there's enough there, certainly with lithiums, to put, you know, enough charge into your phone or your nav computer to get you through to where you can do it properly. So again, that's something I always carry with me. It takes up no space, super little thing. That I think is pretty much it. I don't want it going on for ages. 22 minutes was too long last time. A few other things to consider. Tony Clare put me onto this. It's used for when you're like doing trickle charging to some devices, like particularly the old exposure lights. I don't quite understand how it works. Tony, if you're watching this, can you put in the comments how this thing works? But I've used it on my exposure lights. But I guess if you've got other items that aren't charging off a power bank particularly well, then this could be what you're after. This is pretty cool actually. I found this online the other day. If you're running 12-speed Di2 Shimano gears, the cable that you get with the connector on the end that connects into your derailleur, you can buy just that sort of like that part with a USB input on it, USB-C. So rather than having to carry the dedicated Shimano cable with you in your bag, just carry that little unit, and then you can charge up your Di2 battery. Di2 batteries should last 1,200 miles at least. Good tip as well, if you've got Di2, well, good thing to bear in mind, it takes more energy to use the front derailleur than it does the rear derailleur. So if you're somebody that's up and down on the front derailleur a lot, then you're going to reduce your battery quicker than if you're just sort of going up and down the block at the back. That's a nice little tip. When you get somewhere like a cafe and you've got an hour in a cafe or you B&B, it's worth carrying with you like a GAN plug. That's a gallium nitride plug, rather than just a standard like USB plug that you put in the wall. Basically, they're able to transfer a lot more power into your device. Not all devices can take that extra power input, but certainly like this, this plug, it's a 120 watt plug, would charge this 10,000 milliamp charger in about 1.5 to 2 hours. Now that's really quick when you think that it would take, what did I say, about 10 to 12 hours to charge this off a dynamo. And it'd probably take about 3 to 4 hours off a normal plug. So one of these type of plugs are worth getting. You don't need to get one of these really big ones. You can get a 45 watt or a 60 watt. This is just, I have this at home. Anything left for me to mention? I think we're almost there. I think we're done. Oh, last thing. And this is just for me really. I bought this for myself. It's a really small digital camera. Saves you using the camera on your phone, saves power, and I think it can take, with the card I got in there, 100,000 images because they're so small. That's it. I could go on for a lot longer. It's not 22 minutes, so thank you for watching. Let's play the outro.
Well, pull up a chair now. Good advice we'll share now. From the kitchen table with the chief. With the chief.
Boom.